The New York Giants have came out this offseason looking like one of the most improved teams, and the culture has been trending in the right direction for this franchise. And during free agency, they set the tempo right away, trading for one of the league's best tight ends in Darren Waller. And they also signed a couple of new weapons for Daniel Jones as well, including guys like Paris Campbell and Jamison Crowder. Now, the receiving core is completely rebuilt, and on paper they might have the most depth in the entire league. Now, coming out of the draft, the Giants get even better, adding 2 day one starters as well as a bunch of high potential players as well. Now, in this video, I'll be breaking down the entire draft class and how they can make some noise in 2023. However, before we jump into the video, make sure you guys do me a favor, smash that like button. Helps out the channel so much. So let's see if we can get the video up to 400 likes. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Giants and the rest of the NFL all year long, so join the family. And one last thing, comment down below, who do you believe is going to be the biggest sleeper, or who do you think is the biggest sleeper in this year's draft class for the New York Giants? But without any further ado, let's jump right into today's video. Now, as we all know, the biggest needs for the Giants coming into the draft were obviously offensive line, cornerback, and they also want to add a little bit more wide receiver depth just because of what happened last season with all of the injuries. Now, the great news is that the Giants were not playing around, and they addressed all of these needs early on in this draft. Firstly, bringing in a day one starter at cornerback in Deontay Banks. Deontay Banks is a good cornerback, a good DB out of Maryland, who I believe can be a very good, reliable corner at the next level. He's got good size, and he fits the Giants schematically really well. He ranks very highly in zone coverage, which is what the Giants tend to play a lot. So I think he's going to come in here and be a great scheme fit day one. In 2022, he accounted for 38 tackles, 25 solo, 8 pass deflections, and 1 interception. If he can develop a little bit and bring this, play style to the next level, he could be a great cornerback in this league, and it's looking very good for the New York Giants right now. Now, in round 2, they knew that they needed to address this offensive line. Now, they already have 2 cornerstones in Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas at tackles, but they needed to solidify the interior, and they did just that by adding John Michael Schmitz. Now, JMS was a perfect fit here in the second round, and he might go down as one of the most underrated players, or one of the biggest steals in this entire draft for the New York Giants. Now, he's going to be an immediate upgrade from what they had last season, providing them with a much-needed help, giving this offense a major boost for 2023. Now, the blueprint is finally starting to come together here for the New York Giants. A great zone scheme center who has elite potential as a second-round pick. Now, moving on to the third round, they again wanted to address another need at wide receiver with selecting Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee, an absolute playmaker who fell a little bit down in the draft board, but they scooped him up in the third round with some great value. Now, Hyatt was amazing in college, beating coverage every single game. The man seemed like he was just destroying everybody, and he had a ton of touchdowns. Now, the big question will be if he can convert that success to the NFL in the next level versus a lot better coverage. Now, in 2022, he tallied up 67 catches for an unbelievable 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, while averaging 18.9 yards per catch. Now, I personally love Jalen Hyatt's ability and his skill set, but I'm not sure how quickly he'll turn that into NFL production. Now, the good news is there is a ton of guys on this depth chart at wide receiver that can help him, that can mentor him to become a better player more fast. Now, you got Isaiah Hodgins, who's obviously not the oldest player in the league. You also got Darius Slayton, who's, made his way up from a 5th-round pick. He's now a starter. You got Paris Campbell. You got Sterling Shepard, who I think will help him develop. But more importantly, Jamison Crowder is a guy who I really think can help him, mold himself into a nice little wide receiver. But, I mean, this wide receiver group is deep. You got Hodges, you got Slayton, Paris Campbell. You now got Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, Colin Johnson, Jeff Smith coming over from the Jets, Jamison Crowder, still got David Sills, Khalil Pimpleton. I mean, this core is deep. way deeper than it was last season, and I'm loving what they've added to this receiving core. Also got Darren Waller and Daniel Bellinger. I mean, what more can you ask out of this offense from Daniel Jones? Now, before we finish off and go into the last couple of sections here for the New York Giants, do me a favor, smash that like button if you're enjoying the video so far. Comment down below who you're most excited about seeing play in 2023, whether it's a second-year player, a rookie, a new signing, or whoever it may be. Let me know in the comment section down below. But let's get back into today's video. Now, in the 5th round, the Giants knew that there were a couple of question marks surrounding Saquon Barkley and if he was going to play or, be in training camp, mini camp, and, the preseason. Now, with that being said, they wanted to come out here and kind of solidify the running back group a little bit by adding a former or a 5th round pick running back in Eric Gray out of Oklahoma. Now, I do enjoy watching Eric Gray play. He's very athletic, very elusive, agile, and has some great vision as well for a 5th round running back. I think he has the potential to develop into a solid player in the NFL, but I don't know if it's going to be in the first season. Most likely, he'll be a running back 3 on the roster, maybe pushing Matt Breida for some more playing time. But I do see it's probably going to be Saquon, Matt Breida, with a little bit of, Gary Brightwell, Eric Gray, maybe see a little bit of Jay Sean Corbin, whoever wins that RB3 job, in mini camp, training camp. But I'll tell you what, if Eric Gray comes out here in mini camp and training camp and rookie camp and makes a name for himself and ends up getting that RB3 job and potentially gets some RB2 playing time, then this would be an absolute out-of-the-park hit for the New York Giants in the 5th round. Now, next, the Giants decided to add to their secondary with Trey Hawkins III, a cornerback out of Old Dominion. Now, I'm not too sure about this pick. I believe that Trey has the ability to be a great player if he puts in the work, and most likely, I think he's going to be a hit or potentially a miss. Listen, I think with his size at 6'1", 197 pounds, he ran in the 4.3s. I think he could be very solid, and I think he could be a good player. But it's going to be up to him if he's ready to put in the work and ready to grind to the top of the depth chart. Right now, he's looking to be behind Adoree Jackson, Darnay Holmes, Deontay Banks, Cordell Flott. He might even be behind Nick McLeod. But other than that, I mean, he might be the 5th, the 6th corner on this roster right now. Being a 6th round pick, he's going to be, in the competition with a former 6th round pick in Rodarius Williams. You got Amani Oruwariye from Detroit that they signed. You got Aaron Robinson, Leonard Johnson, who they brought over. So they do have a couple of guys here competing for that 5th, 6th role on this cornerback depth chart, but we'll see how he does, man. I definitely think that he has a lot of developing to do. He gave up a lot of touchdowns last season, but I can see the upside with this pick. Now, the Giants want to also add some young talent in their interior of their defensive line, and they did just that by adding Jordan Riley, a defensive tackle who has a ton of tools here in New York to develop nicely behind guys like Dexter Lawrence, A'Shawn Robinson, and Leonard Williams. These guys will have to come out here and just try to help this dude Riley Jordan as a 7th round pick kind of develop. You also got DJ Davidson and Raheem Nunez-Roches as well, Vernon Butler. They got a really big, massive defensive line group right here. And I think having this depth will only help Jordan Riley. He's very raw, but he is 6'4", 340 pounds, and should add some more depth right away to this team going forward. Don't expect him to be a big-time player off the bat, but we can just hope that he takes it seriously, his work, and starts to develop, appreciates the grind, and takes his game to the next level. Like I said, he's got a ton of guys over here that can help him develop and get to the next level as a defensive tackle. But it's all up to him, man. Overall, I think it's a solid late-round pick in the 7th round. I don't mind it. Now, lastly, they brought in another 7th-round pick in Javarius Owens, a safety out of Houston, and I really like this dude's game. I think this could be another steal of the draft here in the 7th round. It does feel like they could have got him in undrafted free agency, but I wouldn't want to risk losing out on a guy like his caliber. Now, in 2022, he was named 2nd team All-ACC, and over his last 2 seasons, he's put up some really nice numbers, which include 126 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 3 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. He's also very versatile. He can play both safety and corner. Primarily, though, he's probably going to be a safety on this Giants team who has a lot of depth at cornerback right now, but not as much safety depth. So yeah, I do think he's going to primarily play the safety position, but he's also not afraid to come up and help in run support as well, which makes him so, versatile. Now, I think this is going to go down as a very underrated pick. I don't think he's going to be a day one player or a day one starter, but I do think he's going to make a name for himself in preseason, and I think he will end up making the roster as maybe a backup safety or a third-string safety on the team. I do love his game, and I do love this pick, and I truly love this draft here for the New York Giants, and believe they got a nice abundance of talent in a ton of different places. Now, I sit here before minicamp and training camp and preseason and see a talented team ready to compete in 2023. I mean, as we already stated, the wide receiver core looks 10 times better than it did last season. Now, the offensive line looks like it got better. You got another year of development out of Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal. You bring in a guy like, JMS, who should be a day one starter at center. You still got Ben Bredesen and Mark Glowinski, who they could get some upgrades over there maybe next season. But, I mean, the offensive line is looking good. The blueprint is set out for them. I like what they're doing at quarterback. You got to like Daniel Jones. He's got to step up this year and have another big year. You bring in Darren Waller. Still got Daniel Bellinger at tight end. They're stacked. You still got Saquon Barkley and Matt Breida. You bring in Eric Gray. You got Gary Brightwell and Jashawn Corbin. So listen, this offense has all the tools, all the weapons to to let Daniel Jones step up and be a big time player in 2023. Now for the defense, I mean they've gone better as well. You still got Leonard Williams, still got Dexter Lawrence. You bring in one of the best defensive tackles in all of free agency in A'Shawn Robinson. You also signed Raheem Nunez-Roches from Tampa Bay. You bring in Jordan Riley. You still got Azeez Ojulari, who had a big year last year, a former second round pick back in 21, looking to improve this year. You bring in, listen, I might butcher these names, but Bobby Okereke, I think it might be Okereke, right? Bobby Okereke. You got Jared Davis, Kayvon Thibodeau, who looks amazing. You still have Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney looking to step up. You did lose Julian Love and I think someone else, but you bring in Bobby McCain from Washington. You have Jason Pinnock from the Jets. Deontay Banks, a first-round pick. Darnay Holmes, Aaron Robinson, Amani Oriarie. I mean, Terrell Burgess coming over from the Rams, I think. I like this team, man. I think this team is deep. I think this team has a lot of talent, a lot of potential. They just got to make sure they get to the next level and become a very solid team. I also like Cordell Flott. Dane Belton looks good. I mean, dude, this team looks talented. No more excuses. Let's go. Daniel Jones, step up next year. Let's go. Hey, the Giants have all the potential in the world in 2023. Let me know what your guys' opinion is. What do you guys think their record will be next season? Make sure you guys smash that like button. Subscribe if new. Join the family. And I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.